Karen doesn't storm out like you'd expect. No. She sits frozen, mouth open just enough to catch flies, eyes darting like a cornered fox. The room's gone quiet, but it ain't still. You can feel the shift. Her allies on the board start scooting their chairs away like they're dodging blame by proximity. The HOA president clears his throat, but even he looks like he's tasting bile. That's when the door swings open. Sheriff Donnelly walks in, not in uniform, but the man's presence carries enough weight to make the whole room lean. Karen visibly recoils. "Hope I'm not interrupting," he says calmly, stepping forward. "Got a call from the water board. They pass along some footage. Seems someone's been tapping an AG-fed line." Karen stands too fast. "Sheriff, this is highly irregular. This is a private meeting. It's also a potential felony," he says, raising an eyebrow. "And you did steal from a federal water supply, which, by the way, you signed off on recognizing last year when the HOA tried to limit trough fill times. Remember that memo?" Karen blinks. Her throat bobs. That was a general proposal. "I pulled the minutes," he says, holding up a binder. "Your signature. Your motion. You knew the line was AG-fed. That's perjury if you claim otherwise now." She spins to the board. "This is all out of context. I didn't know it was active. Elijah never posted any signage. Actually, I cut in, pulling out one last piece of paper. Here's the signed delivery receipt for the 3, water use restricted. Agricultural supply, only signs I installed at my line junction 6 months ago, with time-stamped photos." A collective inhale ripples through the room. Karen sways slightly. She looks at me, then at the sheriff, then at the board, searching for someone to catch her fall. No one moves. I only needed it for my koi pond. They were dying. I didn't think. "Karen," the HOA president says softly, folding his hands, "I think you need legal counsel." "Legal counsel?" she snaps. "Are you seriously taking a side?" "Federal law doesn't have sides," Sheriff Donnelly says. "And frankly, this ain't just theft. It's misuse of community position to bully, manipulate, and conceal evidence. That's civil liability on top of criminal charges." Karen's eyes go wide, panic rising like floodwater. She takes a trembling step toward the board. "I've served this HOA for years. I've organized charity drives, garden walks. This man is. He's tried to ruin me." "You ruin yourself," I say, quiet but firm. "I just lit the fuse." Sheriff Donnelly pulls out a citation slip. "You'll receive a formal summons. The county prosecutor's reviewing the case. I suggest you don't tamper with anything else in the meantime." Karen stares at it like it's a death warrant. Then, finally, her facade cracks. She lets out a tiny, pitiful laugh. One of those high, disbelieving ones. "This is ridiculous. You'll all regret siding with him," she hisses, grabbing her purse. "He doesn't belong here. He's always acted like this land makes him better than the rest of us." No one says a word. She storms out, and just like that, the empress of the HOA dethroned. I don't smile. Not yet, because when justice comes slow, you savor every mile it travels. 3 weeks later, her koi pond is bone dry. The same woman who once paraded through HOA meetings like she owned the land now avoids eye contact at the grocery store. Her Range Rover's been parked in the driveway all week, flat tire on one side, bright orange violation of municipal code sticker on the other, and the dye still faint on her concrete, fuchsia-like shame. Turns out, the county didn't just slap her with theft charges. They traced the unauthorized pipe back to multiple water lines. She'd been siphoning from more than just mine. One of the neighbors, old Mr. Becker, found her tap coming from his irrigation well, too. The board? Unanimous vote. Karen was removed as HOA treasurer and barred from holding any future office. "She misused our trust," the president said on the record. "We deeply regret our failure to recognize the pattern of harassment and manipulation." Pattern. That's the word that stuck. Because once Karen fell, stories poured out. The Ryans, new black family down the road, said she called code enforcement on them 3 times in their first month over untrimmed hedges. The Alvarezes got letters about, Unapproved cultural decorations after putting up papal picado for Dia de los Muertos. People remembered, but no one had acted. Until now, one by one, folks started coming up to me at the feed store, the post office, even just pulling over in the road, to say something they never had before. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. You made us look closer. Maybe not everyone changed overnight, but the air around here, it's different, lighter. I walked the fence line on a Sunday morning, boots soft in the dirt, sun rising over the hills like an old friend. My cattle mill around the troughs, filled with clean water now, protected. As I pass the old oak near the junction box, I pause. The dive valve still there. I leave it, a reminder, not of pettiness, but of precision, because sometimes justice doesn't roar in, sometimes it trickles, colors the ground until the truth can't be washed away. Behind me, I hear the crunch of gravel. Uncle Eli. I turn. My niece, Kendra, runs up the path, holding a clipboard. She's just joined a local water co-op for her senior project, working with the AG department. Her curls bounce with every step. You were right, she says, beaming. They're adding language about HOA overreach to the new policy draft. And guess what? They asked me to present next week. I chuckle, heartful. That's my girl. She grins wider. Also, Ms. Karen's koi pond just got condemned by the county. I laugh, hard, the kind that shakes dust from your lungs. Kendra laughs too, and for a moment we just stand there, under that wide blue sky, on land that's been in our family since my grandfather staked it with calloused hands and a heart full of grit. This ranch was built to endure, and now, so are we. Want a full polished PDF of the complete story or the YouTube script version formatted for voiceover next? I don't call her. I don't write a letter. I walk. One hot Tuesday afternoon, I leave my dogs at the porch, take off my gloves, and cross the long stretch of dry pasture till my boots hit the HOA fence line. Karen's property looms on the other side. Gleaming white pergola, wrought iron patio set, a koi pond bubbling like it thinks it's Versailles. I spot her instantly. Wide-brimmed sun hat, pruning shears, humming to herself like she ain't stolen a drop. Her sprinklers kick on as I approach. CH, hissing over plants that shouldn't be thriving in this heat. She startles when she sees me at the fence. Karen, I call polite but firm. You got a minute? She doesn't even flinch, doesn't lower the shears, just lifts one perfect eyebrow, like I've stepped on sacred ground. Elijah, she says, voice sugar and vinegar. Something wrong. I nod toward the koi pond. That new? Gift from my husband, she says, smile tight. Stress relief. Funny thing, I say, my water pressure's been off. Pipes whining. Trough's low. But then I look over here. Green grass, running fountains. In the middle of a drought. Her eyes flash, just for a second. Then she chuckles. Well, I suppose it's just good landscaping. Maybe you ought to upgrade your irrigation. My jaw tenses. You didn't touch my line? Her smile hardens like sun-baked clay. That's a very serious accusation, Mr. Mayfield. There it is. Mr. Mayfield. Not Elijah. Formality as a weapon. I didn't accuse you. I say, yet. She sighs. Steps closer, pretending concern. You know, I've heard complaints about your livestock smells drifting over. And I think there's still some unpermitted structures near the fence. Just FYI, would hate to see the county involved. Threats wrapped in HOA politeness. I don't blink. I just tip my hat, turn around, and walk back. She thinks that's the end. It ain't. The next morning, I head into town and pick up two things. A trail cam with night vision and a backflow valve with a dye injector. Harmless food grade color, neon blue. Won't hurt nobody. But it'll mark whatever's pulling from my line. I install both myself. Quiet. No one sees. Then I wait. 2 days later, I check the footage. There it is, grainy but clear. A PVC branch with a flexible hose snaking through the fence slats. Someone, can't see the face, but the gait and the pearl-colored gardening gloves give her away. Twist the valve open. lets the koi pond run. Gotcha. I send the footage to Sheriff Donnelly with no caption. Just a clip. His reply, "This ain't just water theft. That line's AG fed. That's a felony." I drive into town to show the Water Conservation Board rep. Her eyes go wide when she realizes Karen's tapped into federally subsidized agricultural water. That's not just unethical, that's criminal. Word starts to ripple through refries. Quiet phone calls. Whispers at the feed store. And just like that, the power balance shifts. Because up till now, Karen's been playing with monopoly money. HOA threats, code citations, image control. But she just committed real theft. On a federal level. And no HOA title gonna protect her from that. What's worse, the die kicks in the next morning. Her koi pond turns electric blue. Her fountain spray the color of windshield wiper fluid across her manicured lawn, staining everything in its path. The koi startle, thrashing like they've been dumped in acid. They're fine, just confused. Her lawn? Ruined. I watch it all from the porch. Sipping coffee. She's screaming into the phone, covered in splashes of blue. And I'm just getting started. Karen's koi pond is neon blue, her fountain spewing dye like a busted art project, and her back patio looks like someone murdered a smurf. But that's not what sets the day apart. Today's the HOA emergency board meeting, called last minute, held in the community center, supposedly about property standards and unauthorized surveillance. I already know what this is. A trap. I show up anyway, boots muddy, hat low, posture relaxed. Every seat in the place is taken. Karen's perched at the front like a blonde python in pearls, flanked by her usual squad. For board members who owe her favors and fear her wrath. The moment I step through the door, her voice cuts the air. "Well, there he is. I was beginning to think you'd lost your nerve, Mr. Mayfield." I give her a slow smile. "Just curious what fiction y'all put together." She pretends offense. "We're here to address a serious matter. Namely, your unauthorized installation of surveillance equipment and your use of chemical agents in a shared watershed zone." Shared watershed. That one gets some murmurs. Folks forget my line's private because she's muddying the truth. Deliberately, she lifts a printed photo. One of the trail cam stills, cropped, blurry, conveniently omitting the hose in her hands. "This kind of behavior," she says, "reflects poorly on the community. We maintain standards here, and we all need water to thrive." There it is. We all need water. A gentle way of saying, I deserve access to your resources because my lifestyle requires it. Entitlement polished to a shine. I stay quiet as she smirks and turns to the room. I move to censure Mr. Mayfield and recommend civil action for environmental tampering. A few heads nod, but others shift uncomfortably. Karen senses it and doubles down. "I mean, really," she scoffs. "Die? Hidden cameras? Intimidation? This isn't a farm. It's becoming a threat to our community's harmony." I finally stand, let the silence fall. Then I reach into my folder, slow and deliberate, and lay down 3 things. 1, a signed letter from the Water Conservation Board, confirming Karen illegally tapped a federally subsidized agricultural water line. 2, a full-resolution trail cam video, unedited, time-stamped, crystal clear. 3, an affidavit from my plumber, confirming the install of the dye valve and its harmless composition. Gasps ripple through the room like wind over wheat. Karen stiffens. Her lips twitch. I step forward just 1 pace. "This ain't about harmony." I say evenly. "This is about theft. And lying. And using your seat on the HOA to bully folks who don't fold. I don't need to intimidate anyone. I let the facts talk." The president of the HOA, a retired judge with no love for drama, adjusts his glasses, studying the papers. "Is this accurate?" he asks Karen quietly. Her voice falters. I was told the line was abandoned, that it wasn't used." "That's not what you said 5 minutes ago." I interrupt. Laughter breaks in the back. Karen's jaw clenches. "I could sue," she snaps, "for defamation, for emotional distress." "You could," I say, "but I reckon federal theft charges keep you too busy." She looks around the room. and for the first time finds no allies. Just HOA members, suddenly realizing how much she's risked dragging them down with her. Her face drains of color. "You don't understand what you've done," she whispers. "I do," I reply. "I protected what's mine." And this time, no one dares to silence me. The hum of my tractor is the only sound slicing through the heavy morning mist. Out here on the edge of Green Willow Estates, the air smells like wet earth and fresh hay, not chlorine pools and manicured roses. My farm's been here longer than the subdivision, longer than the golf course, longer than the pickleball courts, longer than the HOA board that thinks they own the air itself. I ease the tractor into second gear, feeling the familiar rattle under my boots. There's a rhythm to this life. Up at dawn, fields till by noon, supper with my wife and little boy when the sun drips low over pines. Simple, honest, free, but lately that freedom feels watched. It started small. A note taped to my mailbox. "Please limit tractor noise before 9 a.m. Respect your neighbors." No signature, just a polite poison dart wrapped in HOA letterhead. I crumpled it without a second thought. After all, my tractor route runs along the easement, my land, my right-of-way, bordering the newly built executive villas. They advertise to city folk craving country charm without the country people. At first, I tried to give them grace. Maybe they didn't understand how farms work. Maybe they didn't know the earth doesn't wait for convenience. Maybe they didn't realize that farming at dawn isn't a choice. It's survival when you're fighting the sun and the storms. But the stares started coming next. Tight smiles from women in yoga pants clenching tiny dogs. Whispered conversations that stopped cold when I drove by. And not just any stares. The stares, heavy measuring, the kind that crawl down your back and settle in your gut, whispering, "You don't belong." A black man running a farm in a neighborhood fast turning white and wealthy. Yeah, I know that look. Still, I kept my head down. Kept plowing, planting, feeding. Hoping it would pass like a summer storm. This morning feels different, though. There's a strange buzz in the air, an unnatural stillness. As I turn down the tractor route behind the eastern fields, I catch a flicker of something ahead. Tents, folding chairs, white linen fluttering like ghost flags in the breeze. I squint through the mist. They're setting up an event. On my tractor route. No one asked. No one even told me. I kill the engine, sitting there with the quiet roaring in my ears. A few workers hustle around. Pounding stakes into the soil, I turn with my own hands. A man in a headset barks orders. Two women in cocktail dresses laugh as they hang fairy lights from poles. Somewhere behind them, a string quartet starts tuning instruments. My jaw tightens. It's a wedding on my land. And suddenly, every polite note, every tight smile, every measuring stare slams together into a picture I can't ignore anymore. They don't just want peace and quiet. They want me gone. And today, they think I'll stay quiet. I turn the key in the ignition and listen to the tractor roar back to life, louder this time. In the misty morning air, the sound is a promise. Not today. That I ease the tractor closer, the wheels crunching over gravel and damp soil. Nobody looks my way at first. They're too busy fussing over flower arrangements and lining up pristine white chairs in tidy rows. A blonde woman in a silky robe stands near the front, waving her arms like a conductor. She's got that brittle kind of beauty, sharp, manicured, aggressive in its perfection. Even from here, I catch the edge of her voice slicing through the mist. No, not there. Move the arch. This has to be perfect for my daughter's special day. My hands tighten around the steering wheel. I know her, Karen Whitmore, HOA Vice President, the self-appointed queen of Green Willow Estates, the woman who filed noise complaints about my harvest festival last fall, the woman who told my wife, smiling thinly, that she admired how we kept the place up, considering, the woman who has never once spoken to me without reminding me, politely of course, that we're part of community now, and everyone needs to do their part to keep up appearances. I shift the tractor into neutral and hop down. Gravel crunches under my boots as I approach. Heads turn. Conversations stall. That ripple of discomfort rolls through the crowd. What's he doing here? Karen's eyes flick to me. Her smile stretches wide, brittle as cracked ice. Oh, Mr. Carter, she chirps, loud enough for everyone to hear. I hope the noise won't disturb you. We're just setting up for a small family wedding. It'll be done by this evening, I promise. She says it like she's doing me a favor. Like I'm some lucky bystander allowed to bask in their grand event. I glance at the chairs, the tents, the portable bathrooms being hauled in by a struggling teenager, the power cables snaking across the field, plugged into generators thumping against the ground. Small wedding, my ass. I clear my throat, keeping my voice level. You realize this is my tractor route, right? I got work to do. Planting's behind schedule as it is. Karen waves a manicured hand, as if brushing away a gnat. Oh, don't worry about it. One day won't kill your little farm. Surely you can understand how important this is? Besides, she tilts her head, her smile sharpening. The neighborhood has certain standards now. We want everything to look presentable for the guests. Presentable. The word lands like a slap. I feel it, the unspoken part. The part that's always there, humming beneath the surface. Not just about the tractor noise. Not about the dust or the early mornings. About me, my skin, my presence messing up their curated picture of country elegance. But I say nothing. Not yet. Instead, I nod slowly like I'm chewing over. Like I'm the simple farmer they think I am. Sure, I say. Wouldn't want to cause a scene. Karen beams, relieved, already turning back to her workers. And right there, standing in the mist, I make a quiet decision. Tomorrow morning, at 6 sharp, this tractor's going to be rumbling through this wedding like Moses through the Red Sea. And they're going to learn real fast that you don't disrespect the land or the man who works it. At 5:55 a.m., the sky is still a deep bruised purple, and the air tastes like rain that might never come. I climb up into the tractor cab, the metal cold under my fingers, and crank the engine. It fires to life with shudder and a deep, throaty roar that slices through the quiet. Down the hill, the wedding setup still sprawls across my tractor route, now dressed in full splendor. Rows of chairs gleam ghost white. Tulle and fairy lights stretch between poles like spiderwebs. A red carpet snakes over the grass like an open wound. Perfect. I roll forward slow and steady, letting the engine growl louder, daring them to notice. By the time I'm 50 feet out, a few early risers, caterers, decorators, are scrambling. A woman in black leggings flaps her hands like a panicked bird, rushing toward the tent. A man with a clipboard shouts, something I can't hear over the rumble. Karen appears from the main tent, wrapped in a silk robe and fury. She stomps toward me, face pinched, hair already frizzing in the morning damp. Mr. Carter, what on earth do you think you're doing? She shrieks, her voice breaking against the roar of the tractor. I throttle down just enough to be heard. Working. On my land. Same as always. Her hands curl into tight little fists. You're going to ruin everything. My daughter's wedding is today. Have some decency. Decency. The word hangs heavy between us. I lean out the window, keeping my voice even. I warned you. This is my easement. My route. I got fields to plant. Unless you got some paper saying otherwise, I'll be plowing through here just like I'm allowed. Karen's lips pull back in a tight smile, but there's no warmth in it. Only calculation. Actually, she says, pulling a folded sheet from her pocket, the HOA board voted last month to temporarily extend common use privileges over this area for neighborhood events. It's covered under community bylaws. She waved the paper like a magic spell meant to erase me. I climbed down from the tractor slow, boots hitting the dirt with a deliberate thud. I take the paper, read it. It's official looking, all right. Fancy letterhead, HOA seal, but it's garbage. No signatures. No filing number. No county registration. Fake. Made to scare someone like me into backing down. Nice try, I say, handing it back. But an HOA vote doesn't override county land use law. This is an agricultural easement. Protected. You'd know that if you bothered asking before throwing a party on it. Karen's face flushes red, But before she can snap back, a man in a crisp polo strides up. Alan Chambers, HOA president, Karen's little lapdog. Now, he says in a syrupy voice. Let's all calm down. No need to get aggressive, Mr. Carter. We just want one day. Surely a reasonable man, like you can find it in his heart to accommodate your neighbors. We're a community, after all. Community. Funny how that word only gets dragged out when they want something. I let the silence stretch long enough to make them squirm. Then I pull out my phone and snap a few photos, the tents, the trucks, the generators tearing up my land. County zoning office opens at 8. I say, let's see what they have to say about unauthorized commercial use of protected farmland, especially when it displaces a licensed black farmer. The last words hang there, heavy and undeniable. Alan's smile cracks. Karen hisses under her breath, eyes darting toward the wedding setup like she's seeing for the first time, not a dream, but a liability. I climb back on the tractor, shifting into gear, the engine snarling like a waking beast. Behind me, the wedding workers scatter. Ahead of me, the Red Sea waits to part. And somewhere deep inside, the land itself seems to rumble in approval by noon. The air is heavy, thick enough to chew, and the once quiet farmland is a circus. Cars jam the narrow dirt road, kicking up clouds of dust that hang like ghosts over the fields. A string quartet saws away under a tent. Guests in designer suits and pastel dresses mill around, sipping champagne and avoiding eye contact with me. I sit high in the tractor cab, engine idling low, feeling like a storm cloud ready to split the sky. This land is mine. This work is mine. And I'm tired being treated like background noise. I spot Karen near the rose arch, draped in glittering mother-of-the-bride regalia. She's posing for photos, sipping champagne, pretending none of this is happening on stolen ground, until she sees me, until she sees the tractor parked 10 feet from the edge of the ceremony. Her smile falters. She grabs a microphone from the DJ's booth, an expensive-looking setup crammed under a second tent, and strides to the makeshift aisle like she's addressing royalty. Ladies and gentlemen, she trills, her voice echoing across the field. I just want to thank everyone for coming today to celebrate love, family, and unity. Applause rises, scattered but enthusiastic. Then she turns toward me, full theater mode engaged. And of course, she purrs, we're so grateful to Mr. Carter for graciously allowing us to share this beautiful space today. It just goes to show, no matter where you come from, with a little understanding and compromise, we can all come together for something beautiful. The crowd chuckles politely, not sure whether to joke or an insult. I stare at her, feeling every eye pivot toward me, weighing me, no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, what you look like, as long as you stay quiet, as long as you know your place. Karen's smile gleams like a blade. I climb down from the tractor slowly, every movement deliberate. Dust puffs under my boots. I walk toward the center aisle, feeling the ripple of unease as guests part like water. I reach into my back pocket and pull out a folded sheet of paper, official letterhead, real this time, signed and sealed by the county zoning board. Karen's smile twitches. See, I figured you might not know. I say, voice even but carrying across the field, about agricultural easement law, about how this land can't be used for private events without written consent. I hold the paper up. The county seal glints gold in the afternoon sun. And I figured you might not know, I add, stepping closer, that using protected farmland for profit without permission, that's not just a fine. It's a criminal offense. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Guests shift uncomfortably. Someone lowers their champagne flute with a clink. Karen's face drains of color. Now, wait just a minute. I also figured, I cut in, you might not realize that this wedding isn't just trespassing. It's documented, photographed, witnessed. I even took a video of the construction crews yesterday. I tap my phone. The screen flashes to life, showing Karen's workers hammering stakes into the earth, running cables, dragging in porta potties, clear as day, time-stamped and geotagged. Karen's mouth opens and closes like a dying fish. I lean in just enough for her to hear the last part over the buzzing silence. And I already sent everything to the county clerk and to my lawyer. The weight of it all lands like a hammer. Karen sways on her heels, grasping for words, for control, for a way out. There isn't one. Not this TI. Karen's face flushes red, then sickly pale. She tries to laugh it off, clutching the microphone like a lifeline. Oh, come now. Let's not ruin a beautiful day with legal mumbo-jumbo, she chirps, her voice a brittle, cracking thing. We all agreed, didn't we? Mr. Carter here understood. I step forward, slow and steady. We agreed on nothing. I say, voice slicing through the air. You trespassed. You lied. You built an illegal venue on land you don't own. A few guests fidget nervously, looking around like they suddenly realize they're standing on stolen ground. Karen's eyes dart wildly. She drops the microphone, letting it screech and whine across the speakers. Security! She shrieks, snapping her fingers at two men near the DJ tent, muscle-bound guys in polo shirts and sunglasses. They rush toward me like they're about to handle a threat. Good. Let them. Just as they reach for me, a booming voice cuts across the field. I wouldn't touch him if I were you. Every head whips around, coming down the dirt road, kicking up dust behind a long line of county vehicles, is Sheriff Daniels. Not just the sheriff. 3 deputies, the county zoning commissioner and the farm preservation officer. Sheriff Daniels steps out, boots crunching the gravel, mirrored sunglasses gleaming. He doesn't even hesitate. He marches straight up to the hired goons. Back off. Now. They freeze, hands half raised, backing away from me like I'm radioactive. Karen's mouth drops open. Sheriff, thank goodness you're here, she starts, but he cuts her off with a raised hand. Mrs. Aldridge, you are hereby ordered to cease and desist all activities on this protected agricultural property, he says, voice like iron, effective immediately. Whispers hiss through the crowd. Cameras come out. Guests start filming. Karen looks around, panicking, trapped like a rat in a flood. This is a misunderstanding, she wails. He said he never said no. Sheriff Daniels turns to me. Mr. Carter? I nod once. Calm. Steady. I have all communications documented. Every text, every voicemail. And footage of the crews setting up without permission. I pull out a second phone, my backup, and hand it over. Sheriff Daniels scrolls, jaw tightening. He turns back to Karen. You knew this was private farmland, he says. You knew you didn't have permission, and you made false representations to the vendors and your guests. Karen's mascara smears as she stumbles forward. But we already paid for everything. The tent, the catering, the flowers. You'll have to explain that to the judge, Daniel says coolly. He nods to one of his deputies, who steps up and hands Karen a citation. Big, bold letters across the top. Trespassing. Property damage. Fraudulent misrepresentation. Karen grabs a paper like it's a snake, her hand shaking so hard it flutters in the breeze. Meanwhile, the vendors start tearing down, yanking the tablecloths, folding up chairs, cutting down the flowers mid-bloom. The wedding guests don't know whether to stay or flee. Some awkwardly drift toward their cars. Others keep their cameras trained on Karen, capturing every second of her humiliation. The string quartet stops mid-song, packing their instruments like they're escaping a crime scene. I stay rooted in place, arms folded, letting it all wash over me, letting it sink in. Karen's husband, the supposed gentleman of the hour, stomps toward her, red-faced and furious. You told me everything was cleared, he hisses loud enough for half the guests to hear. Karen doesn't answer. She just stands there, shaking, mascara streaked down her cheeks like war paint, holding a crumpled citation and watching her fantasy collapse around her. And me? I finally smile, because for once, the law stood on the side it was supposed to. 3 days later, the headlines hit. Local HOA leader faces charges after illegal wedding on protected farmland. Community leader exposed for fraud, trespassing. Karen's face is plastered everywhere, online, in the local papers, even on the evening news. Not smiling, not composed. Mugshot, red-eyed, hollow, humiliated. I sit on the front porch, The same porch she once said didn't fit the aesthetic of her neighborhood, sipping sweet tea and watching the sun sink over the cornfields. Peace, thick and warm, settles around me like an old quilt. The land hums beneath my boots. Untouched, unbothered, mine. Every so often, a car creeps down the road. Neighbors who once looked right through me now offering cautious waves or hesitant smiles. Ms. Joyce from 3 houses down even stops by, clutching a basket of blueberry muffins like a peace offering. I had no idea she was doing all that. She says, eyes watery. We should have listened. Should have stood up. I take the basket, nodding once. It's not about the muffins, Ms. Joyce, I say quietly. It's about knowing whose land you're standing on, and respecting it. She nods, cheeks flushing, and somehow that tiny moment, awkward, fumbling, sincere, feels bigger than any courtroom victory. Word spreads fast. Turns out Karen didn't just lie about my farm. She falsified permits, misused HOA funds, and pressured vendors into silent contracts. Vendors are filing lawsuits. Neighbors are demanding a full audit. The HOA board, her little kingdom, is crumbling from the inside out. Meanwhile, zoning violations pile up. Every day brings a new certified letter to her mailbox. Fines, court summons, demands for restitution. When the civil suit finally drops, led by me and a coalition of vendors she defrauded, the number is staggering. $2.3 million. Karen tries to fight it, files motions, cries victim, plays a misunderstood suburban mom card. But the security footage doesn't lie. The emails don't lie. The witnesses don't lie. One by one, every door she thought would open for her slammed shut. Her friends distance themselves. Her husband files for divorce. Realtors won't even list her house without major repairs and a full disclosure form outlining her legal entanglements. She's a pariah in a place she once ruled. And me? I plow my fields, fix my fences, sleep soundly. Sometimes, when a breeze carries the faint sound of hammers and drills from down the road, I smile, knowing it's Karen herself, under court order, dismantling the wedding venue she once bragged about. Poetic, isn't it? She tried to bulldoze my life for a single day of fake glory, and instead, she buried her own future. At the Harvest Festival that fall, something strange happens. People seek me out, not out of obligation, but out of respect. Mr. Ellis, the old war veteran who rarely speaks, claps me on the back and says, "About time somebody taught, and they don't own everything they see." Ms. Patel, who runs a flower shop, slips me an extra bouquet and a whispered thank you. Even the mayor stops by my booth, shaking my hand a little too earnestly, promising more oversight for HOA practices. Change comes slow in places like this, but it comes. As the sun sets, painting the fields gold and crimson, I close my eyes and breathe it in. Not just the scent of turned earth and cut hay, but the deeper, sweeter smell of justice. Hard won, long overdue, and absolutely gloriously mine.